Let us read from Genesis chapter 11 verses 1 to 9. The Tower of Babel. At first, the people of the whole world had one language and used the same words. As they wandered about in the east, they came to a plain in Babylonia and settled there. They said to one another, "Come on, let us make bricks and bake them hard." So they had bricks to build with and tar to hold them together. They said, "Let us build a city with a tower that reaches the sky, so that we can make name for ourselves and not be scattered all over the earth." Then the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which those men had built. And he said, "Now then, these are all one people and they speak one language. This is just the beginning of what they are going to do. Soon they will be able to do anything they want. Let us go down and mix up their language so that they will not understand one another." So the Lord scattered them all over the earth and they stopped building the city. That city was called Babylon because the Lord mixed up the language of all the people, and from there he scattered them all over the earth. Let us try to go verse by verse, but before that I want to tell you, if you find anything that is not in line biblically, theologically, please understand me, because I try to reflect this to our society from this context. So while doing so, if I go extreme, I'm going to give my honest criticism of the present situation. Verse 1. At first, the people of the whole world had one language and used the same words. Let me put it this way. It was a world with one language, one word, and one ideology. Everyone speaks the same language. If it is yes, everyone is compulsorily yes. If it is no, everyone is obligated to say no. There was complete uniformity in speech and thinking. In fact, it was an oppositionless government. Anyone who speaks against a leader or government is considered antisocial. This Babylonian society is not democratic at all. So also our society. In democracy, oppositionless government is awful, not lawful. In fact, it was not democracy, people's rule, but democracy, people's crazy. It is not government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Rather, it is government of one party, by one party, and for one party. Or contextually, let us say, it can be also called as government of the solution, by the solution, and for the solution. And there will be no solution at the end of the day. If our government is serious about bringing solution, they don't need to crucify democracy to do that. Opposition and ruling parties can work together for the cause of Naga people. But why become one? There is no shadow government now. This is unprincipled, unscrupulous. It only shows that our parties are not even driven by ideologies and manifestos. What happened to the party ideologies? Where is the ideology now? What happened to the ideology of NDPP? What happened to the ideology of NPF? What happened to the ideology of BJP? How can you compromise ideologies manifestos just like that. Is this politics? This is very cheap. We all know 2 great world wars were fought because of differences in ideologies, democracy and communism. If it is for the cause of Naga solution, why don't they set up a committee representing from all parties and work together? Why murder democracy? The hodgepodge ideologies of BJP, NDPP, NPF and some independents is now Nagaland United Government. We went back to the Babylonian society, the world of one language, one word, one ideology. Verse 2. As they wandered about in the east, they came to a plain in Shinar, Babylonia, and settled there. Let me put it this way. Same journey, same destination. They were wandering about in the east and somehow got settled in the plain of Babylonia. They all were on the same journey heading towards the same destination. There was no one in the group who will take different route. No one will stay back. No one will go ahead. Everyone had to be in a group. This kind of feeling is very strong in us, especially in Nagas. And that's exactly portrayed in a political scenario. We don't want to take different route because if you want to be different, people will raise their eyebrows at you. Everyone is appearing for NPSC, so you also have to appear even if you are not NPSC materials, or even if you are capable of UPSC, you will only give NPSC. That's our mentality. Since our forefathers were self-sufficient in their own small world, and they don't have the trait of adventuring out and did things differently, we also don't have that courage to venture out. Same journey, same destination, same settlement is who we are. Verse 3. They say to one another, "Come on, let's make bricks and bake them hard." So they had bricks to build with and tar to hold them together. They were together. They were united. They were advancing. Development was taking place. They started introducing new technology in building and architecture. They made bricks to build and tar to hold them together. You see here, even their scientific mind in discovering new technologies and engineering was in line with their ways of life. Every individual is like a brick, and when that was cemented with tar, they become one in the form of a structural building which become impossible to break them. The same scientific idea is manifested in their socio-political world too, when we look at the following verses. Verse 4. They said, "Now let's build a city with a tower that reaches the sky, so that we can make a name for ourselves and not be scattered all over the earth." As they were advancing in terms of development and technology, they also developed pride and confidence. They became overconfident that they can do anything. The only worry in them was if in case they become disunited and got scattered. So they want to build a city with a skyscraper building that reaches the sky and that can accommodate everyone in the city. Just imagine a house to accommodate everyone in the city. This government wanted every one of their citizens to come under one house. In other words, only ruling house, no opposition house. That means if the government is right, that is right. But if the government is wrong, that also becomes right. Even if You are not happy with the government, you are conditioned to be happy. Even if government fails you, you are programmed in such a way that you have to celebrate the success of the government. These people thought, in the eventuality of time, they can control the city world and make this city superpower city and make names for themselves. Their manifesto is fame and popularity to bind them together. Let us try to think this way in the form of an illustration. USA is now the most superpower nation. Everyone wants to become the citizen of US, but it is unthinkable if any US citizen to surrender her citizenship and try to get other citizenship. That same idea applies here. These Babylonia people wanted to become superpower and unite all their people together, because the logic behind this is a country's good reputation and fame will instigate patriotism among the citizens, and that will automatically bind them together. Verse 5. Then the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which those men had built. Here we see the reverse. Man trying to go up, Lord came down. Remember, when God comes down, major changes take place. When Jesus came down, it changed the whole course of history. I'm wondering when God is going to come down on Naga people. The Lord came down to see the city and the tower which those men had built. These people didn't know that they were under the surveillance of God. God was watching them. What intrigued me here is, even if they forgot God, God still remembered them. We may have forgotten God, but God will not forget us. He will get to us sooner or later. When we try so hard to go up, God will come down and meet us at the lowest level of our life, and He will even pull us down so that we will have a meeting point. Sadly, many will not want to come down to our lowest level and meet God, because it is difficult to humble and surrender our pride, prestige, and popularity. Verse 6. And he said, now then, these are all one people and they speak one language. This is just the beginning of what they are going to do. Soon they will be able to do anything they want. We see here the power of human being. And even God recognized that. But that power is worrisome. These people were so united and did whatever they decided to do, and they did it anyway. Their motto is, united we stand, divided we fall. But their intention and their motives are completely wrong. They were ambitious, selfish, and hungry for power and popularity, and they have no place for God. Let us reflect this one to our present Naga situation. If Nagas are in any way united, what is binding us together? What is the uniting factor of every tribe? There is a possibility that some evil forces may be uniting us together. Just say it is possible that the binding factor of a particular political party may be money, popularity, or the charisma of a corrupted leader, and there is no place for God. A particular tribe may suddenly become united because of one unprincipled leader. We have come across so many instances where even a regular extortionist can unite her tribe so well when she got into trouble with other tribe or outsiders. In this sense, if at all there is unity, and this unity is out of our selfish reason, fame and popularity, there is a severe consequences. Let's go to the next verse, verse 7. Let us go down and mix up their language so that they will not understand each other. This is the consequences. God will confuse us, and we will not be able to understand each other. Now money speaks, and we know the language of money. An extortionist speaks, and we understand it. There is no misunderstanding in corruption whatsoever, because we all speak the same language and understand it. Backdoor appointment is in our dictionary already. But a time will come when God will confuse us. How I wish people speak different language and have different school of thoughts. How I wish some of the Naga people who will not understand the language of money, nepotism, bribery, tribalism, factionalism, and so on and so forth, and who will do exactly the opposite of what we are doing today. Verse 8. So the Lord scattered them all over the earth, and they stopped building the city. These people failed because they couldn't understand one another. It became impossible for them to be united because they didn't understand each other. They got scattered all over the earth. Their dream project, tower, got stopped from there. I think God is doing that to us exactly. What if God divide us further? And God seems to be doing that when we look at our society. At first, there was only one group which broke into two factional groups, and now it increases to more than 10 groups, and it is likely that it will increase even more. We are divided and scattered like never before. There is something positive about this verse when we look at it missiologically. You know what? Our churches are so much obsessed with building churches and other infrastructure around the church building, and we forget to carry out the Great Commission to go into all the world and preach the good news. Remember, if you continue with the same trend, the Lord will confuse us and scatter us. So this verse 8 will change its version too. So the Lord scattered them all over the earth, and they stopped building churches and guest houses, because they are missionaries now. Verse 9 and the last verse. The city was called Babylon, because there the Lord mixed up the language of all the people, and from there he scattered them all over the earth. This city was called Babylon, which is from the Hebrew word meaning mix up or confused. We all know how God dealt with the people during the time of Noah. He destroyed all the living creatures mercilessly except the family of Noah and some selected few from all the species of animals. After that comes Babel Tower. Over the years, people forgot God again. They tried to do things by their own and got name for themselves in the form of Babel Tower. This time, God did not destroy them, but in His loving and gracious way, dealt the situation differently. He confused and scattered them because their oneness, unity was a threat to the world, to themselves. We are not far from Babylon if we don't change our ways. We as a nation, we may speak different language, have different school of thoughts, journey through different road, heading towards different destination, but we can still be united together in the body of Christ if we accept each other differences with respect. As it says in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 14 to 25, and I will close with this. Even so, the body is not made up of one part, but of many. Now, if the foot should say, because I am not a hand, I do not belong to the body, it would not for that reason stop being part of the body. And if the ear should say, because I am not an eye, I do not belong to the body, it would not for that reason stop being part of the body. If the whole body were an eye, where would the sense of hearing be? But in fact, God has placed the parts of the body, every one of them, just as He wanted them to be. If they were all one part, where would the body be? As it is, there are many parts, but one body. The eye cannot say to the hand, I don't need you. And the head cannot say to the feet, I don't need you. On the contrary, those parts of the body that seems to be weaker are indispensable. And the parts that we think are less honorable we treat with special honor. And the parts that are unpresentable are treated with special modesty, while our presentable body need no special treatment. God has put the body together, giving greater honor to the part that lack it, so that there should be no division in the body, but that its parts should have equal concern for each other. If one part suffers, every part suffers with it. If one part is honored, every part rejoices with it. God bless you all. See you next week.